Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to look at the factors that shifts the AA schedule. So now we are looking at AA curve. So now we're going to look at the factors that shift AA curve. But before I look at the factors that shift AA curve, I must just show you and explain to you that AA curve now represent our monetary sector. This is our monetary sector. So now what is happening here is that we know that money supply can increase or decrease in the economy, and we know from our macroeconomics that what increases money supply will be the factors such as the interest rate that is going down, and the factors such as the open market operations when the government decide to buy the bonds, and then the central bank decide to buy the bonds, and then will be when the Reserve Bank decided to reduce the reserve requirements. So the main factor here is that, and I want you to sort of understand this fully. The main thing here is that we are saying that the government or the central bank can increase the domestic money supply. So when the government increases domestic money supply, what does this mean? It might mean that the central bank is buying bonds in the open market, or it might mean that the reserve requirement went down, or it might mean that the repo rate went down. All these, they mean expansionary money supply in the system. But remember that we are also talking about the real money supply. So this money supply here is not the nominal money supply. So we must divide it by P to make it the real money supply. So therefore it makes what? It makes the price level as well to affect the real money supply. So therefore it means what? It means that when prices are going down in the economy, then the real money supply now is going up. The whole fraction will go up if this one goes. So therefore, all these ones here now, they mean what? They mean that the AA schedule is going to shift to the right. But now, let me just throw the AA schedule and show you. And this is the output, and this is the exchange rate, this is the origin. So now we are looking at one. We're looking at DD, we're looking at AA. Now, remember, in this economy now, we are sitting with E1, which is here, and we are sitting with Y1, which is here. So, we have the equilibrium, which is here, which is E1. We are sitting with this equilibrium. And now, we are saying that what will cause this, the movement along these curves, and same thing applies, to the previous lecture as well. What happens to, or what causes the movement along this curve? The movement along the curves is caused by when the variable that is appearing on either of the axes is changing. So therefore it means what? It means that when exchange rate, nominal exchange rate is going up or down, there's a movement along these curves. So you can understand that way. So therefore it means what? It means that now if the exchange rate moves from E1 to E2, therefore now there is no curve that is going to shift. So what we're going to see now, we're going to see this equilibrium in the system. Now there will be this equilibrium in the market. Now, what we are saying now, we are saying that what is going to happen here is that we're going to show you what happens if money supply increases and what happens if money supply decreases. Remember, I just showed you here that these are the factors that will increase your money supply. But now, what will be the factors that will decrease money supply? The factors that will decrease money supply will be the opposite of what is happening here. So which means what? Which means that when government or when the central bank sells bonds, when the reserve requirement goes up, when the repo rate goes up, or when the price increasing, all these ones now will reduce the real money supply in the system. Right. Now, I'm now going to show you now the expansionary monetary policy and the expansionary and then the contractionary monetary policy. So how does it work? So let's see. We now going to have the first one here and the second one here. This is the output, this is the output, this is the exchange rate, this is the exchange rate. So remember that your DD schedule represents the real sector, your AA schedule represents the monetary sector, your AA schedule represents the monetary sector, your DD schedule represents the real sector. So now what you can see now in the economy, that you are having the exchange rate here and you're having the output here, you're having the exchange rate here, and then you're having the output here. Now, remember in the first one now, I want to show the impact of what? Of increase in money supply. Let me just divide by P so that we say real money supply. Now you understand that. And then here we're going to show the impact of a decrease in real money supply. Now, we did this obviously on the previous page, and I'm sure you are not going to forget, and you're going to be able to sort of understand everything. Because remember, if you don't understand these things, you can play this video again and again. So the first one, we say the real money supply increases, so therefore it means your AA curve is going to shift to the right. So now we see this right was shift of the AA curve. Now we have the new AA curve that is here. So let's see. Now, when the real money supply increases, AA schedule is going to shift to the right. And now you can see that we've got the new equilibrium point here. We move from E1 to E2. So now, what does that mean? It means now increased money supply will result with the depreciation of the rand. So now we see the rand depreciating, and then let me see this side. And then the output is increasing. So now you can see that actually, when we are using the monetary policy to grow our economy, the end result will be that the rand will be weaker in the end. But when we are using the fiscal policy, remember in the previous lecture, the end result will be what? The economy is growing, but with a stronger rand. So if we are using the fiscal policy, we will come up with the stronger rand and the economy is growing. But if we are using the expansionary monetary policy, we are going to come up with the weaker rand, but the economy is also growing. So now you need to understand that. So, and again, it will depend on what we want to do. Do we want the weaker rand, or do we want the stronger rand in the end? So that is exactly what you need to sort of understand. But I'm sure you will understand this one, and it cannot really make some sort of differences. Now, what's happening now is that when we are using the contractionary fiscal policy, contractionary monetary policy, now your AA curve is going to shift to the left. And when the AA curve shifts to the left, now what we're seeing now is that now the rand becomes stronger, appreciation of the rand, and then the output becomes less, and then this is what we call the economy going down, and then unemployment is increasing, and all this. So now what you need to understand here is that when you are using the expansionary monetary policy, you will end up with the exchange rate that is stronger, that is weaker, and the economy is going to decline. So now the output is going down, and remember this Y stands for income or output or real GDP. Whatever you want to say is fine, it's acceptable. And then what we are seeing now here is that when we are using the contractionary monetary policy, what we are seeing is that you end up with the weaker rand, the stronger rand, and the economy is going down, And then I beg your pardon, because with the first one, the expansionary monetary policy, do not confuse it. We're saying the output is going up. This is here. You can see it here. Here where the output is going up. So I'm very sorry that I just twisted my explanation. But now, anyway, it's fine. Everything now is fine and it is quite straightforward. So I want you to learn these factors and to sort of apply them on this AADD schedule. And then I'm going to list the other one. Like what? Like okay, let me just say the factors that will shift your AA curve are, the first one obviously is money supply. That is domestic money supply. And let me just say real money supply. And then the second factor will be the price level in the economy. Because if the economy is going up, look where the price is. The price is below the line here. So if the price goes up, it means the real money supply is coming down, because now you can work out the fraction and we'll see what happens. So the price will always affect this one. So now, it means every time when there is money supply, there's a change in price level in the economy. It will affect both the AA and the DD. Because remember, we are saying if the price level goes up, now our exports will go down. And then, which means DD is going to shift to the left. And then, in this case now, we are saying the real money supply is going to go down, which means AA is going to shift to the left. So you need to sort of understand those things and those factors so that you are fine. And then we also have the expected exchange rate. Expected exchange rate. Now with the expected exchange rate now, the expected depreciation is going to shift the AA to the right. So now it will be more like the first diagram here. But the expected appreciation of the rand will shift the AA to the left. So you must understand that, because if people expect the rand to depreciate in the future, they behave in a way that will cause the rand to depreciate. And then that is going to happen. And then the final one will be the foreign interest rate and so on. Right, guys, now what you need to understand is that I want you to understand each and every factor and how it shifts, whether it shifts to the right or to the left. And because remember, this is the monetary policy module. So I want you to understand the entire portion of the monetary policy. That is why I gave you the monetary policy chapter of first year textbook, which is the first one that I'll ask you to read on your own, even though I'm gonna just touch some portions on it. But what I want you to understand here is that I want you to go through this over and over and over again. Because once you go through this many times, and then you will be able to reason very well, and in that way it will become very obvious to you. Because remember, when I'm dealing with these things, I'm still going to ask you more questions concerning the monetary policy instruments, how money supply increases in South Africa, what are the instruments that the central bank can use, what are the instruments that the central bank can use to decrease money supply. Therefore, it means everything that you studied in economics, intermediate macroeconomics, you do not need to throw it away. Do not abandon it, because it is going to be very, very important. And on that note, I would like to thank you all, and go and study and prepare for the test. And the test is going to be based on the 3 chapters that I gave you, the chapter 13, chapter 14, and chapter 16. So mainly, the test will be more about the monetary policy, the fiscal policy, AA curve and DD curve, and so on. So you need to go through those chapters very carefully and make sure that you understand, so that you can come out with flying colors. Thank you.